everybody, I am Olivia, once again here to make you understand another important part of endocrinology. So let's start today's Bioholic Friday special class with me. Today I will take you to our adrenal glands and tell you its secreted hormones with their important functions. We have two adrenal glands situated one on either side at the upper pole of our kidneys. It is hence also known as suprarenal gland. The weight of each adrenal gland is about 4 to 5 grams. The adrenal gland has mainly two parts, the cortex and the medulla. The adrenal cortex is the outer part, constitutes about 80% of the total adrenal gland, and the adrenal medulla is the central part that constitutes the rest 20%. So if this is the adrenal gland, then this part is the capsule, this is the adrenal cortex, and this is adrenal medulla. Clear? Histologically, it can be observed that each adrenal cortex has three layers: the outer zona glomerulosa, the middle zona fasciculata, and the inner zona reticularis. On the other hand, adrenal medulla is made up of interlacing cords of cells known as chromaffin cells that are also called as pheochrome cells or chromophil cells. These cells contain fine granules which are stained brown by potassium dichromate. And the types of chromaffin cells are the adrenaline secreting cells, 90%, and the rest 10% is the noradrenaline secreting cells. This is the histological structure of adrenal gland. This part is the capsule of adrenal gland. This portion is zona glomerulosa. This portion is zona fasciculata. This portion is zona reticularis, and the rest portion is the adrenal medulla. Okay? First of all, let's learn about adrenal cortex. It has three layers. The zona glomerulosa occupy 15% of the adrenal cortex, and it is situated immediately beneath the capsule. It contains columnar or pyramidal cells. On the other hand, the zona fasciculata is the widest intermediate zone that occupy 60% of the adrenal cortex. It has polyhedral, often binucleated cells with lipid droplets in their cytoplasm. Here the cells are arranged in two thick straight columns, and sinusoids are present between the columns. And lastly, the zona reticularis. It occupies 7%. It is the innermost layer. It lies between zona fasciculata and adrenal medulla. It is made up of a network of compactly arranged cords of cells. It has irregular shaped cells with pycnotic nuclei. So from zona glomerulosa, mineralocorticoids, that is aldosterone and corticosterones, are secreted. From zona fasciculata, glucocorticoids such as corticosterone, cortisol are secreted, and from zona reticularis, 6 steroids, mainly dihydroepiandrosterone, dihydroepiandrosterone sulfate, and androstenedione are secreted. I will tell you an easy trick to remember the different exact sources of adrenocortical hormones. That is, the Goa food restaurants make good sweets. Here the G of Goa represents glomerulosa that secretes the mineralocorticoids. So the M for make, F for zona fasciculata, and it secretes G for glucocorticoids. So good. And lastly, the R denotes zona reticularis that secrete 6 steroids. So sweets. You just try to remember the sentence: Goa food restaurants make good sweets. Isn't it interesting? Now the mineralocorticoids. Mineralocorticoids are the corticosteroids that act on the minerals or electrolytes, particularly sodium and potassium. Mineralocorticoids are the aldosterone and 11-deoxycorticosterone. Chemically, they are C21 steroids having 21 carbon atoms, and their half-life is about 20 minutes. And they are transported in blood by binding with plasma protein, especially globulins. The binding is loose, and 50% of these hormones are present in free form. 90% of mineralocorticoid activity is provided by the aldosterone. They have mainly three functions. The first one is the reabsorption of sodium from renal tubules. Second is the excretion of potassium through renal tubules. And third is the secretion of hydrogen into renal tubules. So mineralocorticoids have various functions. Aldosterone acts on the distal convoluted tubule and the collecting duct and increases the reabsorption of sodium. During hyposecretion of aldosterone, hypernatriuria is found. Secondly, along with sodium ions, water is also reabsorbed from renal tubules by the action of aldosterone. Water reabsorption is almost equal to sodium reabsorption. So, the net result is the increase in ECF volume. Third one is the aldosterone causes tubular secretion of hydrogen ions. In hypersecretion, it causes alkalosis, and in hyposecretion, it causes acidosis. Fourthly, aldosterone increases the potassium excretion through the renal tubules. When aldosterone is deficient, hyperkalemia is seen. Nextly, aldosterone also increases the ECF volume and the blood volume finally. That may ultimately leads to increase in blood pressure. And moreover, aldosterone reabsorbs sodium from sweat gland and salivary gland. It also increases sodium absorption from the intestine, especially from colon, and prevents loss of sodium through feces. Okay? So what are the factors that stimulate aldosterone secretion? If there is an increase in potassium ion concentration in ECF, or decrease in sodium ion concentration in ECF, or during decreased in ECF volume, and due to the action of adrenocorticotropic hormone of pituitary gland, aldosterone secretion is stimulated. Secondly, the glucocorticoids. It acts mainly on glucose metabolism. Glucocorticoids are cortisol, corticosterone, and cortisone. Chemically, they are also C21 steroids having 21 carbon atoms. And the half-life of cortisol is 70 to 90 minutes, and that of corticosterone is 50 minutes, and half-life of cortisone is unknown. They are transported by a special plasma protein known as glucocorticoids binding globulin or transcortin. 94% of glucocorticoids are transported by this protein, whereas about 6% of them are found free in plasma. Glucocorticoids has a lot of functions. They increase the blood glucose level by promoting gluconeogenesis in liver from amino acids and by inhibiting the uptake and utilization of glucose by peripheral cells. They cause catabolism of proteins by releasing amino acids from body cells into blood and by increasing the uptake of amino acids by hepatic cells from blood. Nextly, they also cause mobilization of fatty acids from adipose tissue, increasing the concentration of fatty acids in blood and by increasing the utilization of fat for energy. Fourthly, they also enhance the retention of sodium, and to lesser extent, they increase the excretion of potassium. They also play an important role in the maintenance of water balance. By accelerating the excretion of water, the adrenal insufficiency results in water intoxication. Glucocorticoids also stimulate bone resorption by osteoclastic activity and inhibit bone formation and mineralization. They also increase the catabolism of proteins in muscle, so hypersecretion causes muscular weakness due to loss of protein. And they also decrease the number of circulating eosinophils, basophils, and lymphocytes. On the other hand, increase the number of circulating neutrophils, RBCs, and platelets. They are also essential for the constrictor action of adrenaline and noradrenaline. In adrenal insufficiency, the blood vessels fail to respond to adrenaline and noradrenaline, leading to vascular collapse. They are also essential for normal functioning of nervous system. Insufficiency of these hormones causes personality changes like irritability and lack of concentration. Glucocorticoids are also essential for survival during stress conditions, as it offers high resistance to the body against stress. And they also prevent the inflammatory reactions. Even if inflammation has already started, they cause an early resolution of the inflammation. And yes, glucocorticoids also have permissive actions. Anterior pituitary regulates the glucocorticoid secretion by secreting ACTH. ACTH secretion is regulated on the other hand by the hypothalamus through the corticotropin releasing hormone. Cortisol regulates its own secretion through negative feedback control too by inhibiting the release of CRF or CRH from hypothalamus and ACTH from anterior pituitary. Now lastly, the adrenal sex steroids. Adrenal gland secretes mainly the male sex hormones which are called androgens, but small quantity of estrogen and progesterone are also secreted. Androgens that are secreted from adrenal cortex are the dehydroepiandrosterone, androstenedione, and a little amount of testosterone too. The adrenal sex hormones are transported by another special plasma protein known as sex hormone binding globulin. So what are the functions of the sex steroid secreted by the adrenal cortex? During fetal life, adrenal cortex secretes a large amount of DHEA, which acts as the main precursor for synthesis of estrogen by placenta. In adult women, the adrenal glands supply 50 to 60% of the androgenic hormone requirement. DHEAS contributes to increased muscle mass, growth of pubic and axillary hair, and libido. In adult men, since testes produce a large quantity of testosterone, the adrenal androgen precursors are of little biological importance. However, they may be partly responsible for the development of male sex organs in childhood. During the hyperactivity of adrenal cortex, Cushing syndrome may be seen. The ACTH-dependent Cushing syndrome is more common and occurs due to hyperplasia of adrenal cortex secreting excessive glucocorticoids caused by excess of ACTH. And the ACTH-independent Cushing syndrome is less common and occurs due to adrenal adenoma and adrenal carcinoma or due to excessive glucocorticoid administration. Clinical features are pot belly, purple stray, torso or fat deposition in chest and abdomen, buffalo bump or fat deposition in back and shoulder, moon face or edematous face. So, pulse pressure to be measured is the mnemonic to recall the clinical features of Cushing syndrome. In hyperactivity of adrenal cortex, two more conditions may be observed. The hyperaldosteronism, that is caused by the increased secretion of aldosterone, and primary hyperaldosteronism is otherwise known as Cone syndrome. It develops due to tumor in zona glomerulosa of adrenal cortex, and the secondary hyperaldosteronism occurs due to extraadrenal causes. Symptoms are the sodium and water retention leading to hypertension and edema. Another is the adrenogenital syndrome that occurs due to increased secretion of adrenal androgen, occurs due to the tumor of zona reticularis in adrenal cortex, and it is characterized by the tendency for the development of secondary sexual character of opposite sex. During hypoactivity of adrenal cortex, Addison's disease may occur. This is caused by the failure of adrenal cortex to secrete corticosteroids. The primary Addison disease is due to the adrenal cause. Secondary Addison disease is due to the failure of anterior pituitary to secrete ACTH, and the tertiary Addison disease is due to failure of hypothalamus to secrete corticotropin releasing hormone. Glucocorticoid insufficiency produces weight loss, anorexia, nausea, vomiting, weakness, and diarrhea. Mineralocorticoid deficiency produces hyponatremia, hyperkalemia, acidosis, and decreased ECF volume with hypotension. Loss of androgens causes parseer in females. Increased ACTH secretion occurs due to feedback mechanism and causes diffuse pigmentation of skin and mucous membrane. Catecholamines are secreted from the adrenal medulla. The source of these hormones are chromaffin cells of adrenal medulla. They are chemically amines derived from catechol, and so these hormones are called as catecholamines. Hormones are adrenaline or epinephrine, noradrenaline or norepinephrine, and dopamine. The half-life of these hormones is about 2 minutes. Actions of adrenaline and noradrenaline are executed by binding with receptors called adrenergic receptors, which are present in the target organs. Adrenergic receptors are of mainly two types, the alpha adrenergic receptors and beta adrenergic receptors. Alpha adrenergic receptors are, on the other hand, have two types, the alpha 1 and the alpha 2. And similarly, beta adrenergic receptors are of two types too, the beta 1 and beta 2. Circulating adrenaline and noradrenaline have similar effect of sympathetic stimulation, but the effect of adrenal hormones is prolonged 10 times than that of sympathetic stimulation. It is because of the slow inactivation, slow degradation, and slow removal of these hormones. Adrenaline acts through both alpha and beta receptors equally. On the other hand, the noradrenaline acts mainly through alpha receptors and occasionally through beta receptors. The alpha 1 receptors acts by activating IP3 through phospholipase C. Alpha 2 receptor acts by inhibiting adenylyl cyclase and CAMP, and the beta 1 and beta 2 receptor both acts by activating CAMP mediated pathway. Adrenaline influences the metabolic functions more than noradrenaline. It increases basal metabolic rate, increases the blood glucose level by increasing the glycogenolysis in liver and muscle. It causes mobilization of free fatty acids from adipose tissues. Adrenaline also decreases blood coagulation time. It increases RBC count. Adrenaline has stronger effect on heart than noradrenaline. It increases heart rate, force of contraction, excitability of heart muscle, and conductivity in heart muscles. Noradrenaline causes vasoconstriction. Vasoconstrictor effect of noradrenaline increases the total peripheral resistance. Adrenaline also causes vasoconstriction, however, it causes dilation of blood vessels in skeletal muscle, liver, and heart. So the total peripheral resistance is decreased by adrenaline. Adrenaline increases systolic blood pressure by increasing the force of contraction of heart and cardiac output too. But if decreases diastolic blood pressure by reducing the total peripheral resistance. On the other hand, noradrenaline increases diastolic blood pressure due to its vasoconstrictor effect by increasing the total peripheral resistance. Moreover, adrenaline increases rate and force of respiration. Adrenaline injection produces adrenaline apnea. It also causes bronchodilation. Adrenaline causes contraction of adductor pili. It also increases the secretion of sweat. Adrenaline causes severe contraction and quick fatigue of skeletal muscles too. And catecholamines can cause both either contraction and relaxation of specific smooth muscles. Adrenaline and noradrenaline are secreted in small quantities even during rest. But during stress conditions, due to sympathoadrenal discharge, a large quantity of catecholamines is secreted. These hormones prepare the body for fight or flight reaction. Catecholamine secretion increases during exposure to cold and hypoglycemia too. Now lastly, the dopamine. Beside adrenal medulla, dopamine is also secreted by dopaminergic neurons in some areas of brain, particularly in basal ganglia. In brain, this hormone acts as a neurotransmitter. Injected dopamine produces various effects like vasoconstriction by releasing norepinephrine, vasodilation in mesentery, increase in heart rate via beta receptors, and also increase in systolic blood pressure. But yes, dopamine does not affect diastolic blood pressure. And deficiency in dopamine in basal ganglia produces nervous disorder like Parkinsonism. Hypersecretion of catecholamines may cause pheochromocytoma. It is caused by the tumor of chromophil cells in adrenal medulla. Features are endocrine or secondary hypertension, anxiety, chest pain, hyperglycemia, metabolic disorder, palpitation, polyuria and glucosuria, and tachycardia. So lastly, today's fun facts for you. Adrenal glands are called the life-saving glands because the absence of adrenocortical hormones causes death within 3 to 15 days, and absence of adrenomedullary hormones drastically decreases the resistance to mental and physical stress. For more bio fun facts, follow our Facebook page Bioholic. So now go for the self-assessment test and get your instant score. And if you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe our channel and also like and share this video with your friends. Thanks for watching. Next Friday, we will discuss about the pancreatic hormones. Till then, stay safe and stay tuned with Bioholic.